Welcome back to News Sources. Changing gears, the High Court has today ordered the arrest of doctors who will not have resumed work by next week. There's a contempt of court charge out there, and that is the biggest question tonight. I mean, Roslyn, looking at this strike that has been ongoing now for the last 2 or 3 weeks, are we likely to have an end to this madness?
It's over a month that the doctors have been out, and so many families.
On leave, so I thought it was 2 weeks.
2 months.
Oh yeah, it's over a month.
Yes,
Yeah,
it has been only for 2 months.
And so many families have lost their loved one. People are really suffering, and it all boils down to the governors and the government. We are not seeing them coming out to address this matter the way it is, because you can't tell me that the governors and the government and the executive cannot reach a deal to have doctors to go back to work. Threatening doctors will not do anything. They will just still continue. We'll arrest the officials and they still stay home. And you cannot threaten doctors that you'll get an alternative. When will this alternative come? Because people are dying every single day. So for me, I think they should leave that combat talk and just call the doctors and try to iron out what is best for the country.
Billy, do you think we need the opposition in this to pull together?
I think, Dennis, I think it is very unfortunate that we have to get to this point, but I think the doctors may have been pushed to the corner. But again, you also need to, everybody in this country is not well paid. So if you are pushing for something...
That's not true. Politicians are very well paid.
No,
let's not spread untruths.
And Billy, this is a country of laws
money
and contracts, and you understand? Yes. This is what this country is all about.
Someone just walked out with 790 million and she catwalked and they spoke a lot of English.
That's not payment, that's stealing. But what I was saying
So
is
it
that...
means there's money.
What I was saying is that doctors are very important people in this country, and they are not known to make, those demands that are seen as not very reasonable.
But this is
and simply because the government has also given them something substantial, so to speak.
But
I think the way the CBA was executed in the first place, I think it has brought a bit of some legal issues.
Billy,
because they are arguing that the SRC was not involved. So I think we need to have the doctors also accept what the government is offering. We stop the suffering, because the poor Kenyan is the one who is suffering.
Stop it, smart. Who should stop this?
I think Bill is being a bit, dishonest and economic with the truth here by saying that the people who are suffering are responsibility of the doctors. The government of this country, we pay taxes to the government. You don't pay taxes to the doctors. Okay? So if people are suffering in this country, it's government responsibility. Now, to transfer that responsibility to doctors, I think is being a bit dishonest. But the central question, I think, is this, that the doctors have not, this is not something that they started 3 months ago. This question has been on since 2013 and even earlier. And we finally said we can pay you this much, and we put together an agreement. And we've been just not honoring that agreement. They're saying the least you can do is whatever the agreement you want to tell us, put it in law so that it's anchored on something. And I think that's not being unreasonable.
And Billy, that's what I was saying. I mean, someone watching us from Thika tonight, and is a doctor, he understands that I live in a country that is governed by laws. If there was a CBA agreement since 2013, I mean, if you can't honor it, then get to some point. That's what they're saying. And it cannot be that this country does not have enough money. We blow up money every single day for various reasons. We travel with that money. I mean, doctors are asking for a few billions.
I think to solve this issue now, where we are, I think both groups, the government and the doctors, must climb down the ladder, because everybody wants to be at the top, at the expense of the poor. By the way, it's only the poor Kenyan who is suffering. People like Smart are able to go to a private hospital and even can call a doctor to their house. So what we are saying is that this is the wrong way we are doing this thing. The doctors are very important people in this country. They have been treated very badly by our government, but they must also climb down. They must realize that Kenyans have suffered enough.
Billy, I don't think the doctors need to climb down. They're already down. What they're asking is to be pulled up. The doctors are poorly paid. I think we should put
climbing down from the demands.
I think even when we go by the figures, how many of the normal Kenyans are able to even have insurance? How many access medical facilities? And then again, we saw Parliament recalled special sittings, almost 3 times, to discuss election laws. Why didn't we also see the same parliament recall MPs to discuss the issue of doctors? So that tells you it's not important, it's in the periphery.
Well, let's shift gears to real politics, away from doctors. We'll see what happens tomorrow and Thursday. And Senator Gideon Moi took on Deputy President William Ruto yesterday over the direction the Kalenjin nation will take this year. Gideon, who spoke first, asked the community to ask for more and not, in his own words, give away their vote cheaply. On his part, William Ruto said he can't be lectured by those who were not in Jubilee to begin with. Let's take a listen.
Ane Gideon Kipsiele Weritap Chumyon.
I, Gideon Kipsiele, son of Moi, am not the one dividing the Kalenjins.
Nai Chiton Gurenge Kondoindet Yomigi.
If there is anything wrong, then it must be said. Tell Uhuru the truth. And as Kosgei and Biwott have said, let him come and ask for votes. Don't just give your votes easily.
Ifanyike vile tafanyika.
Ngebendi luget komagilen kaleng ngot komasich alia.
When you are going to war, you do not say, if we lose. That is against the Kalenjin tradition. If this was the case, then former President Moi would not have gotten the presidency. Why are you asking Uhuru to come for vote hunting? If you are not part of us when we formed Jubilee, you cannot lecture us on how to form a government.
All right, let's put it in context why that was very important. That for the first time, I think the Kalenjin community is having a discussion about what happens in Kalenjin for the whole country to hear. In 2013 to 2007, no one really understood what the Kalenjins were all about. So Raila Odinga could assume that he could talk directly to Kalenjins. And in the election date, he saw what happens. Between 2003 to 2007, no one knew what Kalenjins were talking about. And Mwai Kibaki found himself in problems when the Kalenjin decided to go with Raila Odinga. So here is a situation whereby the Kalenjin nation is saying it's having its discussion for the whole country to hear. Why is that important, Dennis?
Interesting, smart. I mean, this discussion has been going on from Chama cha Mashinani, KANU, and former URP, now Jubilee Party. But as it stands now, I think the Kalenjin leadership that is in power at the moment, that is in the ruling coalition at the moment, are stuck somewhere. They are trying to craft something for this community. In 2007, they had something to talk about. They had ICC to talk about. They had this elusive peace to talk about, that there's this animosity between Kikuyus and Kalenjins. But as it speaks now, I think it's no longer an issue. ICC is no longer an issue. We are not talking about ICC anymore. We're not talking about peaceful coexistence between Kikuyus and Kalenjins. So they are stuck somewhere. That's why they're having these discussions among themselves. Mm-hmm. So William is trying to remind the Kalenjin community that we have a government to have in place in 2022. But Gideon Gideon is reminding William that, you know what, I'm a prince, man. I've been here for some time. We've been part of this government for a very long time. In fact, I think Gideon has been in this government for more than 30 years plus, if you ask me. William has been here for 4 years, Billy.
Billy, why do you think this is important in the context of the national election and the fact that we cannot pretend to be here and sit and talk about the Kalenjin politics and, be experts? But just a question that it looks like William's leadership is being challenged right in front of him.
I will start by saying that there are some regions in this country, going by the past elections, that never split their votes. The Kalenjins can fight, they can fight, but 2017, they will make a decision. And between William and Gideon, for me, it comes out as an ego battle. Here is Gideon, who saw this young man being, helped by the father politically and growing. So he is yet to accept that William actually, at one point, or even now, controlled the Rift Valley. And William, again, on his side, he is seeing Gideon as a guy I bypassed. So it's an ego battle, but eventually they'll make a decision. And so far, between 2013 and 2017, there has been no empirical evidence to show that Jubilee has actually lost any grip of the Kalenjin vote. And the best that the Kalenjin will be, the KANU will be, is an alternative to Jubilee dissidents.
I can remind you that between 2007, 2008 to 2013, there's no empirical evidence that Raila Odinga had lost the Kalenjin vote.
Yeah.
It happened on the election date. But make your point, Rosie.
Yeah, I also disagree with you and maybe the deputy president when he said that they cannot be lectured in Jubilee with people who are not in Jubilee. Remember, KANU signed a post-election pact, and KANU has been part of Jubilee up to now. Maybe what has just happened now is that when JP now folded up, KANU decided to stand on its own. But KANU has always been supporting this government. You saw even with the election law, they voted to support it on the lines of Jubilee. So that tells you that they are not in opposition. What is happening is that the dialogue we are seeing in Rift Valley is that the leadership in Rift Valley, everybody is edging the other to show who is the kingpin of Rift Valley.
We are staying there. And just like that, the issue of the Kalenjin vote is right back at the center of national politics. The community voted to a man for Jubilee coalition in the last elections. The same happened again in 2007. And what rallied these two communities, as I said earlier, was the ICC cases in 2013 against two and much touted elusive peace. What will this election be all about in 2017? What will rally this Kalenjin community?
All right, let's listen to some of the discussions there before we come to this.
Even going to return, but because Deputy President akafika hapo nikasema I must see him to 2022. So we are all waiting. All these people are waiting to join Jubilee. All this. Hata mimi nangojea. Si nini nama hiyo? Kuna swali? And we'll hold Nandi.
If you're a man and you want to provide for your family and you don't have a cow that has milk, then you go to your neighbor. If he has 2 cows, you can take the one that has delivered because you're not sure if the other one can attract a bull. We have tasted Uhuru's milk, which is almost drying up, and we have our own, Ruto.
Kalonzo Musyoka was vice president in this country for a very long time. He never became president. William Ruto is deputy president now, and there's this feeling that maybe he's likely to become president in the near future. Billy, is this a long shot?
I think I never like discussing about 2022 because 5 years is a long time. And what I know is that 2017, yes, I agree, Jubilee, even in central Kenya, Jubilee has had a problem trying to, to convince people why they should vote for it again. But as I said, these communities will make a decision.
Is there a discussion in central Kenya about voting for William Ruto in 2022? You come from that region.
Yeah, there is that has actually been the talk in central Kenya. But what I can say is that it's too far. It's too far. But the thinking among the Mount Kenya region people is that William Ruto deserves to be backed for president in 2022.
Roslyn, Raila Odinga declared Mwai Kibaki Tosha in the year 2002, and this man, not for a minute, not for a second, did he ever forget to say anything close to supporting Raila Odinga in 2013 elections. Are we likely to see this happen again in 2022? It's a long time.
It's a long time, just as Billy has said. And you know, in Kenyan politics, you cannot predict. People tend to forget so fast. We are not people, we lose memory very fast, even if you tend to remind people. Because in 2013, who knew that Ruto would shift camp, join Uhuru, and be in government? Because in 2007, they were a pact with Raila. So I think 2022 is just throwing our net too far. because whatever happens in 2017 will determine what happens in 2022.
What gives in 2022, Smart?
I'm bound by the wisdom of the panel. It's too far. We have to discuss 2017. And whatever happens 2017, that will determine William Ruto's fate. But let's shift gears. At Mombasa Governor and ODM Deputy Party Leader Ali Hassan Joho is set to jet back from Ghana tomorrow morning. Joho's security has been withdrawn to what one side of the government says was nothing more than reorganization, while the other side argues that it was a privilege that was abused. Well, reports indicate that the Mombasa Council askaris have also been ordered to stay away from controlling traffic in the coastal city. Jubilee leaders from the coast and without have been asking Joho to respect the presidency. Let's take a listen.
Since he keeps talking of having a big envelope, go and employ your people. Why should we as taxpayers pay for you? What are you afraid of? Why do you need 15 bodyguards? Are you a head of state or what?
Kenya inaongozwa na katiba na kila mmoja na haki ya kulindwa. Na tunataka tuseme kuwa si kwa gavana peke yake. Ulinzi ndani ya Mombasa na Kenya mzima tunataka udumishwe.
Well, and the news just recently in is that his security has been returned, albeit, skinny. Rosalind.
No, I think we shouldn't play politics with security. Security is something very intense, and I think that's why it was never devolved. It has remained at the national government. So I think even if the leaders are not comfortable with the politics of Mombasa governor, it is just edging too far to withdraw his security to just prove a point.
I think this was a very unnecessary drama, especially if it came from some people in government. But
it came from government. There are no sections of government.
I think there are some elements in government who thought that this
No, there's only one government. Really.
There are some guys in this government.
Yes, it's not a Nusumkate government.
Who may have thought maybe Joho had overstepped his, his mandate and abused the president. So they wanted to really maybe show him that they can even withdraw his traffic marshals, his security. I think it's just a power struggle. And but I think it was so much unnecessary.
Dennis, has this done anything to give Joho, political stature, kingpin sort of in cost?
Mileage 24/7.
It has only given Joho mileage in his backyard.
Which was a lot, and now it's
Smart.
more.
Many things come out of this decision. I think the second time the current government is doing it, and there's something about power. I mean, power can be overwhelming at times, and power, when you mix power with emotions, then it becomes very dangerous. I think currently we are dealing with a very emotional government, or sections of government, as Billy is saying. But I think it was unnecessary for the government to withdraw its security. It was uncalled for.
All right, let's look at what we asked you on Twitter poll, because I have the results as we wind down. We asked you if you think the opposition alliance can defeat Jubilee Party in August. Do you think the opposition alliance can defeat Jubilee Party? 66% of you say absolutely yes, and 34% of you think not. 66% of those watching tonight, I should mention, think that Jubilee coalition can be defeated. Billy, 1 second.
Let's wait for the voter registration that will come very soon.
Yes.
And when we finally get the figures and we do our mathematics,
we can do a turn of numbers.
Because this thing is about numbers.
Dennis.
Is it about numbers? I have no idea. I mean, opinion polls are opinion polls. These how you look at them.
Rosalind?
I also agree with Dennis. I think what we should focus more is on the system of the elections first before we even go to the elections itself.
All right, that does it for us. Rosalind Ovala, Billy, thank you very much. And of course, Dennis Onsarigo. We end it here. Up next is Kate and Prime. Don't go too far.